I'm going to be moving forward again. This time it's going to be about how our party, Ukip, should be moving forward. What the vision going forward. We've spoke about the past.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to learn everything else, but going forward, what do we need to do? There's a question as well. The assessment of the general elections, the general state of politics in your view. What's your thoughts?
I think the last general election should have taught UKIP a lesson, and the lesson is you cannot be a one or two party issue. You cannot do that as a party. You have to be able to talk about more things. You have to have an agenda to talk about the other issues. I think that's the most important thing. I think also, it shows that you have to target your resources. There should have been a number of seats, my own one, that we should have really been targeting. That did not happen in this election, and that was a mistake. But in terms of my general view of where politics, I think UKIP is in a lot of trouble. I don't know the new leader, Henry Bolton, particularly well. Obviously, I wish him well. I hope he does well. I hope he starts to change things. But I think we have to have an honest assessment of the last 18 months has not been good for UKIP. And it's about time we had some real radical change in the party. We've got to really reform. We've got to modernise. We've got to clearly set out to the British people what we stand for. And if we don't do that, then guess what? No one else is going to do it. And the last thing I would say on this as well is, politics is in a really bad place at the moment. We've got a hung parliament again. We've got a weak government, a weak Prime Minister in Theresa May, Blairites in government, which are a disaster in the policies. But we've got a socialist, hardcore socialist Corbyn in opposition who's in the ascendancy. Very worrying, because if Jeremy Corbyn gets in at the next election, which is what I fear may happen, he would absolutely destroy this country and destroy this country's economy, and that would take a lot of businesses and a lot of people with him, and I think that's a real worry. But UKIP has got to find its identity. It's got to start making an impact, because if it doesn't, nobody's going to do it for us.
Yeah. Well, you're exactly right. The other thing I can add to that is we need a message as well.
Yes.
We need a message that we can put across to people when we're going on doors and when we're going out, talking to people.
What does the party stand for? That's the question. I think a lot of people are asking that, and I know Henry Bolton, he's only just been elected as the new leader. He's only been in for a month. But we need to find that narrative. We need to find that message quickly.
Our place.
Quickly.
Yeah. With obviously Anne-Marie Waters coming second in the election, the leadership elections, with quite a large vote, to be honest. With what she got.
She's got over 20%, I think.
Yeah. Does it worry you in UKIP? That anti-Islam message.
It does, because I think we cannot go into an election targeting sections of the population. Like we did in the last election, where we were banging on about the burqa, which I've always said was wrong, was stupid, and we shouldn't have done it. We can't get into that kind of politics, because if we get into that kind of politics, we lose. But also, it's the wrong thing to do. We shouldn't be targeting people. We should be serious, credible, honest, and tell people what we're going to do, and make sure we have sensible, credible policies that will actually stand the test of time.
Yeah.
But it is worrying. Just to add, it is worrying that Anne-Marie Waters got so many votes. She got over 20% of the vote. And it is worrying that there may be an element within UKIP that supports that. And I must admit, that's not my kind of politics. I don't think it's right. I think we want to be a party that actually goes for the whole country. We aren't bothered what your race, colour, creed or background is. We're for everybody.
That's what UKIP stood for.
Yeah, of course it is.
We're open to everybody. Everybody can be included. It's an inclusive party, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I'm just going to throw this one at you. This question: is the mentality of UKIP a protest movement or a political party?
That's a good question. I think, in all honesty, we started out being a broad-based political party. If we go back 18 months, the general election 2015, we were really starting to get it, I think. We were putting more people out there. We were putting a broader message out there. But then I think in the last 18 months, we've reverted back, to being more of a protest movement, being more bothered about only Brexit, and not seeing that, if we are a broad-based political party that's capable of winning parliamentary seats, then actually we've got a better chance of having a say in British politics, but also being able to do things in British politics. Because without MPs, we're in a bad place.
Yeah. Well, one thing that does worry me is obviously we lost 80% of the vote since 2015.
That's right, in the 2017 general election.
2017 general election from 2015.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in your opinion, how do you think UKIP could move forward and try to gain them voters back to UKIP?
I think it's disastrous that we've lost those 80% of those voters who backed us last time, and this time didn't feel, you know, we were in a good place, as we talked about earlier on with a lot of the issues. But I think the way we get them back is we actually start talking about some of the issues. You know, we start saying to people, look, UKIP's about more than just Europe and immigration. You know, we are a party that believes in the NHS. We want to keep the NHS in the public sector. We disagree with the privatisation that Blair, Brown, Cameron, May have done. You know, we want tougher policies on law and order. We're a low tax party. We believe you can actually control your own tax money better than the government can. We're a small government party. We don't think we should be borrowing huge amounts of money. You know, and we're a party that thinks, you know, Britain's foreign policy, we touched on it a little bit earlier on. We shouldn't be going gallivanting around the world like the other mainstream parties want us to do. We should be actually, yes, increasing our armed forces size, but we shouldn't be going around the world trying to be the world policeman. So, I mean, there's lots of things that we should be doing, and we should be talking to people to come and support UKIP.
Yeah. Do you think UKIP can survive, obviously, without the charisma, shall we say, of Farage? You know, do you reckon we could survive?
It's difficult. I think we are in a difficult position at the moment after the last election. You know, we're not realistically in a position to win any seats. We've fallen back in all of the seats where we possibly had a chance of winning. And Henry Bolton's the new leader. I don't know him personally. I don't know much about him. We need to give him time. But I think ultimately we are in a bad place. The last 18 months have been really bad.
Yeah.
And we have to move forward, but we have to move forward with a message of what the party stands for. And that is a big challenge for the new leader.
Yeah. It's like with obviously you watch the news and you read newspapers. You know, over the past 18 months, before the 18 months, obviously, you know, before Brexit, we was like number one inside all the newspapers. We were being pushed all the time. Our narrative was out there. We were leading the agenda. We were pushing the political politics. You know,
Absolutely.
Everything. We were pushing everything.
Absolutely.
We had them on the run.
We did.
You know. What do you think? Obviously, can UKIP apply any real pressures right now?
I think you're right. I think 18 odd months ago, we really had momentum. We were making the political weather. You know, we were forcing the government to do things that it didn't really want to do. You know, giving us a referendum. David Cameron did not want to give us a referendum, but he had no choice after we'd won the European elections. And that's my point, really, in what I'm saying a lot of today, is look, if you want UKIP to be a serious political party, if you want to be able to not only influence government and change things and eventually be in a position to do so yourself, you have to have a message, you have to have the dynamic to be able to be effective and be credible, and people to actually see you as a party that's moving forward. If you don't have that, then how you actually apply political pressure is very limited in terms of what you can actually realistically do.
Yeah. It's like with obviously Henry Bolton now picking his I'll call it a shadow cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's too similar to the last?
I think the new team looks very much like the old team, and I think that is a problem. You know, UKIP, as we've said, has not had a very good 18 months.
Yeah.
And realistically, we have to think, do we carry on with more of the same? Because more of the same is not a good direction. Yeah. It's not good. We don't have much influence, and we're not getting very far. Or do we have to change things? Now, my argument, and I've made this over many months, is we have to change things. We have to be more dynamic. We have to modernise. We have to broaden the message of the party, talk about more than Europe and immigration, and we have to change the tone, because sometimes the way we can come across can turn people off who might actually support us, you know. But if we do those things, and I've argued for a long time over the last 18 months, 2 years, that we should do those things, I think if we do those things, we've got a real chance to make UKIP a serious political party that can challenge for seats in Parliament.
Yeah. Last question, and this is like just probably going to put you on the spot a little bit, but it's a serious question. This: are you going to stay with the party?
Well, that's a big question. I mean, where I am at the moment, I've had, you know, a 4-month break from politics. This is the first interview I've done
Yeah.
for a long time, since June, since following the election. I'm very disillusioned with the state of politics in general. I'm very disillusioned with how the party's gone over the last 18 months. I think we've made a lot of bad decisions, and I think we're in a really bad place politically at the moment. And you know, I'm wondering, can we change it? Can it move forward? Can it be modernised? Can it radically change to make it a broad-based political party again? And I honestly don't know the answer to that. And you know, I look at politics today, and I look at the Blairites in the Conservative Party. I look at the hardcore socialists in Labour. As much as I disagree with them both, they have a message, they have a narrative, they have policies, they know what they're doing.
They have an angle, don't
They have an angle, and I'm just wondering, does UKIP have an angle? And where do we fit? And I think we need a message. And I am considering my future in terms of politics, and whether it's in the party or whether carrying on with politics at all. I've enjoyed the last 4 months of not having the stress, not having the hassle, and actually I've enjoyed the time off and away from it. So I am going to consider things, I'm going to think about things, and really think, is it worthwhile me coming back and being involved in politics on a full-time basis? At the moment, I don't know the answer to that question.
Maybe we need a follow-up interview. But obviously,
Maybe.
for now, though, thank you very much for answering all those questions. Obviously, as well, if anybody on watching this video wants to ask Phil any questions, by all means, put them in the comments below,
Of course.
and he'll reply to them.
And thanks very much for the opportunity. It's been good to come and talk about some of these things today.
No, it's been, thank you.
Thank you.